Please.
I think, well, and Wally mentioned this, but it seems so obvious in people that I talk to, whether it's, Matt Fink or you or anyone who had any considerable longevity there, which really, with Prince, I think anything over a couple of years is pretty good longevity.
Yeah, it is.
But it was about having all these people had a can-do attitude, like
Big
whatever
time.
was expected or thrown their way, whatever curveball, found a way to make
Make it
it
happen.
happen.
Oh yeah, you did, or you didn't last. If you couldn't hang like that, if you couldn't figure it out, if you couldn't create solutions to issues, if you weren't going to be there, and that's just the way it was. And so that training, I call it like boot camp training. It's like it carries it like anything now. Oh my God, it doesn't like faze me. It's like, okay, well, how, just stay calm, breathe, and think about it. Step back from it. It's not that deep. We'll all live, hopefully. And that attitude came from, for me anyway, working at Paisley with him, because you had to figure it out. You had to, really think. He'd throw you on the deep end, like asking me to start cutting a show, and like I never cut any kind of like visual in my life. And and he just was testing. He was always pushing the boundaries and testing if where you were at, and And
what was your title?
I didn't have one. This is really interesting. He wasn't in the titles back then, probably for many reasons, but I think he was pretty sick of them. And so, but once in a while, he dangled me being the president of NPG. Aren't you the president of NPG Records? And I go, oh, what? What? Did I just hear that? Dang, can I record that? So at times I was the president of NPG Records, but I did management. We did shows. I booked them on Jay Leno. So I did PR when whatever was necessary. So I definitely was part of the management team. And it was small. I would call myself a manager, for sure, but that wasn't the title, and it was just whatever, needed to get done, and at that point, so.
Yeah. You were there then during the time for emancipation?
I was just coming in at that time, yeah.
So was that before or after the miscarriage thing and that whole rough patch?
Well, I was there for the second miscarriage. The baby, the first one, came to full term. I wasn't there during that time. I came in right after when he was kind of booting Paisley at that point. So that's why it was really small, a group of people at that point. And he was starting to build back up, and that. So I was there just at the end of that period and start reboot, so.
Yeah. Were you surprised that he ended up parting with Mighty?
I mean, it's life. It's real life. I'm not surprised when anybody parts with each other. It's just, and having, that hard time, I could see it being rough, for them. It's hard for anybody, and couples that kind of are more regular, I guess I wouldn't call them, have a tough time. So I wasn't surprised, but wasn't my gig to be. That was their personal life. My life was to help move that around. yeah, it was, it was sad because
You had a
you know,
relationship with both of them, so
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I'm still friends with my Tay now, and um, so it was sad. So I think he would have been a great parent. That's what I think. I think he would have. So,
I think you mentioned crystal ball. I think I
hmm
have at least two different packages of that set. I have the actual crystal ball one and then the more
the
conventional
four
one.
pack, right? I
Yeah.
know that. Yeah, I got thrown that curveball. Yeah, right in the middle of it, and I was like, well, can't we just like at least get all the 5 discs out before it goes to retail, you know, and no, that the timing was a little off on that one. It made people mad, that they had been waiting a year pre-order, and and then this 4 set comes out at Best Buy. I was like, let's just get the 5 set out first. Let's like get that out. But no, I think that's probably why I still had a job. At least I had put it in writing, my the challenges I saw with that, and my thoughts on it. So, but it
Despite
was.
the troubles, I kept hoping there'd be another one, but there never ended up being
I
another crystal
know,
ball.
I
Yeah.
know. Yeah,
On this
yeah.
one, did he give any indication why he made himself so visible and prominent, but still went with MPG rather than
He
his
was
own?
really into the new power generation at that point. I think it was the idea um, of it all, the name New Power Generation. I think that's what he was really into, the concept of it. I mean, he knew it was him, but he really wanted to push that. And I think it also made it easier so he didn't have to say, I'm not Prince. He wanted to it was like kind of more of a funk album in a way to me,
Was,
right?
yeah.
So I think it was like more band funky, and I think that's what he wanted. I know when we did Jay Leno the first time, of course they wanted to use this, at least the symbol, and mentioned in the artist formerly known as Prince, but we had to negotiate. He wanted New Power Generation, and they were just like, well, no one knows who New Power Generation is, to me anyway. And I said, I get it, but we came to agreement, and it ended up being New Power Generation on Jay Leno. And I think they said, I know they didn't say Prince, but they did put the symbol in there as well. So it
I,
was interesting.
I always thought a song like "Come On," which you mentioned, maybe under Warner Brothers or with proper promotion, that should have been a big hit.
Oh my God, I love that
It's
track.
a
That
great
track
track.
is a gem.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's gems through it. Come On was like, I love that track to this day. I will play that like it's really good, really
Yeah.
good. I agree with you on that. If the you know I was ahead of that, but as I said, there was things that were challenging. The big establishment didn't want it to succeed, and I didn't have a budget to really promote. It wasn't big money, to do it, but I love that track. That track was one of my faves.
It's like the remix. I don't care if it ever ends.
Yeah,
You
it's so
know?
good. It's a good one.
Do you work at all on the 1999 remix
I did.
project?
I did. Absolutely. It was so funny. It was Steve Park was talking about it today that 1999 and there was a debate with a fan about 1999 didn't have a Latin feel to it, and Steve's like, dude, I heard it, or woman, I don't know who it was, I heard it with my own ears when he played it for me, that there was Latin flavor and Latin on the track 1999. He just was a great editor. Hans Martin Buff was there too, and he's the engineer at the time, and he said, Prince he's great at editing his own stuff, um, and uh, and the stuff that you hear that's out isn't what was originally on the track, and then he just would edit it down. So no one heard that Latin sound on 1999. So anyway, that was funny today. I was just like, and so bringing that up is cool. Yeah. So really wanted to recreate the masters by, if you take that master and you put new layers on it with new music, it becomes a new master, right? So he wanted to do that with his catalog. He obviously didn't do it all, but he did for the 1999. So we had Rosario Dawson come in, and she was so wonderful. Rosario, I love her. She came like in sweatpants, man. And I'm like, she's beautiful and in sweatpants. She didn't come like trying to look good for Prince, you know, and she's there to work, you know, and get it. And she was so cool. She was really cool. And they went in, she did the poetry on top on one of the versions. And yeah, so I was part of that. Yeah, so.
You were also there during Prince's huge spiritual reawakening, you know,
Yep.
where he connected with Larry Graham. And I remember I saw Larry Graham play the House of Blues in like 95-ish or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to go backstage and I spoke to him and I said, are you aware that Prince is like covering a bunch of your songs, you know, because he was doing Hair and I Believe in You and all that stuff, and The Jam. And he said, oh, I heard that. I said, have you ever met him? He goes, no, not yet, but I hope to. And then right after that, they were like inseparable. So.
Yeah. I was there during that time. And I went on a promotional tour with Larry. We did some in North Carolina and South Carolina, did some record stores when there were record stores to go to. And did a little record store tour of the album. And it was a blast. That was, I mean, lines around the block and people coming in with their faces going, Larry, 1 in a million, you know, singing and all that. Oh my God, Larry, I got married to your song, you know, all this. It was great. And he would talk to everybody, you know, Tina, and then we would have Latia, his daughter. And so I remember in a little backpack, she's like married with like 3 kids now. So it's like, it's crazy. But yeah, so that, you know, he came in right. I met him when we did the NPG dance the first time. We had to book some flights for him to come in. He came for the show. And that was the first time I met him for dinner. And, I have a really cool story. I don't know if there's two. You can always edit it out, but I gotta tell you the story. So, the MPG dance company we did in Detroit, as I was telling you, and the show went off without a hitch. You know, well, not for me, but for as it came to be. But a week before that, I had sold 50 tickets to the show. So I pulled out an amazing, miraculous with a Detroit, I think it was Detroit Free Press writer. But anyway, so it sells out. The show goes off well, and I remember, and I hadn't really had a lot of time with Prince at that point. He was off doing his tours, and I was really focusing on Maite and that. And so she calls me after the show, and you know, the dancers, there were like 25 dancers, were all in. Made sure they got to their hotels and blah, 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 and all that. And so she calls me and says, my husband wants to invite you to dinner. And I was like, oh, well, he must have liked what I did, right? So I was like, oh, okay. So I go, so this is really cool. So we go to this restaurant, and it's closed off, and one side is a bar, and no one knows we're in the restaurant side, so we're off in the restaurant side, and it's Prince, Larry Graham, our publicist at the time, Maite, Kat Dyson, and a guy named Tony Rich. He played keyboards. He had a hit. I can't remember the name of it, but he was a keyboard player. We're all having dinner, and as we're having dinner, who walks in? Stevie Wonder walks in. And so Prince talks to Stevie for a bit.
With assistance, I'm sure.
What's that?
With some assistance, I'm sure he walked in.
Oh, yes, absolutely. He could walk well, but he needed a little guidance. So Prince was talking to him, and he leaves. Stevie leaves, and so we sit back down and and there's the bars next door, as I was telling you, right? It's the same building, but there's a bar, and there's a band. You know where I'm going. That is getting ready to play, or you can hear them warming up or whatever, tuning up or putting sound check together, and all of a sudden Stevie Wonder comes back in and he's got a harmonica, and the next thing we know, we're walking through. So I know that was it Takumi? I don't know if it was Takumi. Someone went across to the other side and talked to the band about, hey, can we use your gear? So it's a long bar, a thin, it's a longer bar, not wide. And at the front of the bar is all glass, and there's a band stage right there, so at the front. So we walk around and we walk in. Now just imagine there was probably like 40 people in that bar having a drinks at the bar, sitting in there, in the booths. And Stevie Wonder, Tony Rich, Cat Dyson, Larry Graham, and Prince walk, and our entourage walk in. I mean, I love watching this because people are like jumping, the drinks are falling and all this stuff. And we're supposed to be at an after party soon, right? And so, but they get up, Prince plays drums, Stevie Wonder sings and does harmonica, Tony Rich plays keys, Cat Dyson plays guitar, and Larry Graham plays bass. Made all the hard work worth it, boy. That was an incredible moment, and and it was funny because you could see like people walking down the street, and because it was a glass, you could see the band, and so they're looking to the back of Prince playing drums, and they're realizing who they're looking at, and you could see people going, "Oh my God, oh my God!" So it was incredible, and so that was a big thank you for making the NPG dance come together for that. So that was really cool.
About how long did they play, do you think?
Oh, at least an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, at least an hour. Yeah. And everybody's waiting over at the after party, which he didn't play. It was just an after party. And they were like, "We heard you guys jammed." It's like, I can't help it. He's going to play there. It was amazing. It was one of those just special moments that you just never forget, and it was just totally spur of the moment, so totally like random that all came together like that. It was really cool.
Wow. I've been to hundreds of concerts in my life, and one of the most unforgettable experiences was at Glam Slam, Prince doing the late shows like 3 in the morning, and they escorted Stevie Wonder up on stage.
Yep.
And they did Maybe Your Baby. And just the two of them together in that venue, and just seeing Prince with his guitar and Stevie Wonder keyboard and singing it, and Prince just looking at Stevie Wonder like, here's my idol. It was so cool.
No, it's pretty amazing when they get together, and it was so good. The jam was so good, so natural and so funky, obviously. And Cat Dyson laid it down. She was so good, and it was really, really amazing. So I love those gems.
Wow.
Yeah.
So having been there when you were, did you hear much music that never saw the light of day?
I heard some from time to time. Yeah. But not a whole lot. I was more interesting enough. To me, the vault, the one that I loved and I could go into was the video one, and that to me is like the gems in my mind. I mean, I know musically, but I mean, there was a whole room full of just like everything that he ever shot, like through his career. All the shows that he shot to like get better and look at it. After every show, it was always taped. So that is amazing to me, that those gems right there, to be able to have access to that. It's pretty cool.
Is there anything else that you worked on that never came out?
Most of the stuff that I worked on came out. So that's kind of cool. as far as it might have came out slow. One came out slow, but it came out. But he had some cool ideas that just, we started with the celebration is when I was there. I was putting that together with him, and that was pretty cool. And I left before that. I saw that particular, but it was, the first carnation of
Was
the
2001 the
celebration.
first one?
What's that?
Was 2001 the first one?
No, 2000 was.
2000.
Yes,
Hmm.
absolutely. Yep. So, and then it started from there at that point. But no, I think most of the stuff, there might be some video stuff that we shot that didn't, never saw the light of day, but most of it, and I got to hear some stuff and see, different things that, other people have and hear some stuff. So
That's all his myriad talents.
he
What
had
do
a
you
lot
think
of them.
was Prince's greatest talent?
He was just, I think that he was talented in being able to pick everything up. He was a really quick learner. And so by that, he was able to be good at a lot of things, right? And I think that, and that single drive, I mean, I guess that's not a talent, that's just his drive. But I think his talent is, because he was able to like shoot basketball really well and hang, and he was very competitive with everything he did. It was very competitive. So he wanted to win. He was going to win, or he's going to try to win, and he's going to talk smack doing it. From pool to basketball to bowling, he was just natural, able to adapt, look at something, and be able to say, you just had that gift, of being able to just kind of do it. And just if he just were to, pick up a bass and he, watch it for a moment, maybe see a bass player, he could get there. Obviously, he's great at it. That was the same with playing basketball, I'm sure. And there was a story that he hadn't bowled before, and he went with the band bowling, and he watched the band bowl, and then he got up and he tried it, and he like got a strike his first try. So he's really good at like absorbing how things are done, and I think mechanically, technically, being able to actually emulate that and have that talent. I think that's one of it. I really do, and I think that if you have that talent and you know how to nurture it, you can do anything you want to do, be whatever you want to be if you want. So obviously, it was music. His greatest thing is music, So
I guess that's why he kind of expected it in those that were around him too, to
very
accept.
much,
Yeah.
absolutely, yes, very much. He expected it. He demanded it. He worked his butt off. He wanted the best for that for him to do and be, and he wanted everybody else to be at that level too. And you had to be. You had to push yourself and be there with him. And I love that because he worked his hard. He didn't just sit around while we worked hard. He was out there working harder than all of us sometimes. So never slept hardly, and it was he was passionate about what he wanted to do. So
And why did you end up moving on?
it was time. I had, you're in his world. You never get that twisted. That's his world, and you're in his ecosphere. You know what I mean? And his system, and it's energy draining. You don't really have your own life because you're kind of working to make sure everything's cool with him, which is cool. I mean, I signed up for that, but there was a point where it wasn't cool anymore for me, and it wasn't really hard being angry at him, but more kind of tired of that. I always promised myself when I worked for him, because you never know when your last day was there anyway. You might decide he just wants to shut it all down. But so I was thankful to have that time I had with him. But there was a point where I was like, okay, Jacqui, you have to also think about yourself. And I always asked myself periodically 3 questions. Am I learning anything anymore? Am I having fun doing it? And am I making enough money? And when all those became, well, when I'm not learning anything anymore, I'm not having any fun. The money better be there to make up for that. And when that's no, then it's time for me to probably go. And one day I asked myself that, and it was time for me to go. So, and we saw each other again a couple times, not much, but I always followed him. You know, when he, basketball. I love basketball, so I saw him a couple times, after I left.
When did you leave Minneapolis?
I stayed until 2004, and then I was just like, okay, I'm done with the weather. I had an epiphany, and I was like, wait a minute, I can choose the kind of weather I want to live in. So I decided I put my house on the market eventually, and then moved to LA, just for weather, and then I worked up in the Bay Area for a while. I love it up there. Yeah, it was just time, a natural progression. I don't think people can last with the the hours and it's never going to end. With hours and hours, it was just going to be that I needed a life. For me.
It wasn't that New Year's Eve that was the stick that broke the camel's back, was it?
It was one of them. I could think of a few, but no, actually changing his name back to Prince was one that I was like, he's made me mad now, and not mad that he wanted to change his name back. It was just like thinking back all like the calls and the complaining about people not saying his name right, not because it's not pronounceable, dude. We did call him Dude from time to time. The crew called him Dude. Hey, have you seen Dude? So, it was just, I was just like, oh gosh, he's Prince again. It's been a long journey, you not being Prince, man. I think you're gonna have to take that journey without me being Prince again. So, anyway, oh man. But it was great. I'm so happy I did. And when I look back, I just think, wow, I was really blessed and lucky to be in his proximity.
It's amazing that Morris Hayes lasted all those years.
Well, yeah, as a musician, it's a whole new ball of wax on that one. It's got to be tough. But Morris was such a brain of the band for a long time that I could just see that, it was Morris is stabilizing in a way, I would think, for the band. Morris knew that Morris had all the sounds. He was like, he knew how to run you know what I mean? So even though he kind of flipped back and forth with different, he would always come back to Morris. I could see that. And then Morris's personality, too. So it just made sense. Same with Steve. Steve Park was there a long time. But Steve didn't work there every day. We always joked. I said, hey, dude, you aren't here every day. You get to fly back to Baltimore. You come in for a week. You don't sleep for a week, and you go back home. It's like, I got to be here, like, every day. And so, there, yeah, so I think Steve and Morris and a few others, were longevity on that.
Were you surprised how largely Prince came back commercially during the 2000s?
I wasn't. I was really not, because I think it was start with, even with Rave, I think that kind of got him like, okay, I can do one-off albums with a label in my terms, and so when he was doing the others, I think he popped back and forth. I don't know what he did musicology on, or if it was
2004.
What's that? 2004? No, I don't know what label that was with.
Oh, Sony, I think.
Sony, see. So he was doing some pop-offs, and I think he was. I think that was the start of him getting back into that, but on his terms. He's back being Prince again. He's feeling that. So it was great. I was happy to see that. I don't think he ever left. I just think it was just circumstances and business and different things created those different. But I'm really happy to have been part of the ones that didn't even maybe do it as the commercial success but there were other successes there that are lasting in what we see in today's music.
And
That isn't,
continue,
that has nothing to do with the music part, right?
yeah, you continue to innovate so much with the giveaway at
Absolutely.
the concerts and the giveaway in the
Totally.
publications, and
Absolutely.
yeah,
It's always
incredible.
way cool. Incredible. There were so many, some days I'd be up in the conference room with him, and I'm supposed to be like, MT something for MTV or whatever, and I'm like, he just decides he wants to really kind of talk, and so I'm there for at least an hour, 2 hours. He's telling me ideas and this, and I just sit and I just talk and maybe make some notes or whatever, and so many great ideas like that didn't come to fruition, but are just brilliant. All these different ideas, um, but it's really cool, and I'm glad to have been that kind of started that spark of that innovation with him. So
Yeah, I'm glad you did, and I'm glad you could share it with us. I appreciate that.
yeah,
So, tell me about the foundation. It was
yeah,
founded in 2017, and
yeah.
how many members and what's going on with it?
Yeah, so actually in 2016, when Prince passed, we did a private event in November in Minneapolis. And at the event, we had some merchandise made. And John Blackwell was sick at the time. And Michael Van Huffel had he's got an autoimmune type disease for long term, for a long time. And we thought, hey, we could sell and raise some money for both John and Michael at this event, right? It wasn't even, anything about a foundation or anything. This was totally put together for private event to celebrate his life amongst, the PRN alumni family, and we didn't know if 35 people would show up. Well, 300 people showed up for that event. So
Wow.
it was needed, and it was amazing, and we had different people speak, and we had video, and music and food and cocktails, and we all got hung out, and people that hadn't met each other but had just heard their names like met for the first time. There was a woman that came in who had been worked under the Cherry Moon. She flew in from France. It was crazy. So we raised a good amount of money that night. We were able to give money to John and to Michael, and literally as we're like breaking down the night, because it was like, I can't tell you how magical that night was. It was just love and respect for, you know, Prince and just everybody that worked in that kind of, we knew what we had, in our own respective eras had to work with. It stayed kind of the same, like all the different things that were happening. So anyway, from that, once we raised that money, we got together after the event and had a few cocktails at like 2 o'clock in the morning because a few of us. And I was like, hey, we should do a foundation, man. This is feeling too good. We can't let this love and stop. This feeling stop. And they were like, you're right. We should do it. So we started that process. Got a really great nonprofit attorney, pro bono. It took like a month and a half to do all the paperwork. I learned it, how to do all the filling, figure it out. And early 2017, and then by late 2017, we were full-blown 501c3. And so we've done events, and we're still building. We're still small, but we're chugging away, man. We've done given money to this really neat foundation, or actually music therapy place in Ohio, where they do music and as a therapy for autistic kids, and it just helps. Music's amazing, and it is such. It transcends everything in a way, and it's like music to me is like love. Love transcends. I feel that way about music, and it's proven to really help. So we've done that. We chose organic farms because he was into eating healthy and organic and vegan and vegetarian, and he was giving a lot to urban farming. So we partnered up with Taja Seville, and because she'd been doing a ton of urban farming in areas where, most, I mean, you go downtown Detroit, not anymore, but like there was a point where there are kids that haven't even seen what a real tomato looks like. It's crazy. It's been a slice on a burger, right? So they have little convenience stores, and they don't see fresh fruit, and they don't see fresh vegetables. And how are these kids gonna, if their body isn't, getting replenished and really growing, how are they gonna like then be able to be creative and blossom into whatever they want to do? So anyway, so we chose that, and we did a really cool edible garden. We did a donation in downtown Detroit at a urban center, and that was really neat. The garden grew. They've sent photos of it, and it'll be replenished next year. Well, right around now. We've done benefit concerts with Maceo Parker and Candy Dulfer. Our first concert was with King, the group King. I don't know if you're familiar. There's three females that have amazing band, and Prince was mentoring them, and so they're wonderful, really great, and they performed. So we've been growing, and then we have, and so we're giving to kids programs, and we did a Women's in Audio Mission event, partnered with them at Pandora in August of last year. And we had a panel. We do tons of panels, really cool panels. So we did a panel at Capri where he played his first gig ever, his professional gig at the Capri. We did panels there. And Pandora, we did a all-female engineer panel. And we had Peggy McCreary, Susan Rogers, Sylvia Massey, and Elisa Chambly talk, and it was spanning the women that spanned through his whole career as engineers. It was amazing talk. Wow. And it was to benefit the Women's Audio Mission. They train women in audio. There's only 5% of women are in audio, which is sad. So that's what we're doing, and we have an event in April. Coming up, April 18th at the Fine Line. We've got the Family Stand with Sandra St. Victor. Is that going to be like funk, rock, crazy? I don't know if a lot of people know that, but Sandra did a lot of, or did some writing with Prince in the 90s, and Soul Sanctuary and a bunch of different writing. He really loved the Family Stand, and he loved her voice. She worked with Chaka and she's amazing in her own right. So the band is reuniting. They're doing a couple shows out east and then coming to Minneapolis. And we have on the show, we've got some great St. Paul Peterson, Ingrid Chavez, Shelby J. It's going to be, and then Tommy Barbarella and Julius are doing a set. They do Love You to the Nines set, and so they're going to do something similar to that that night. Wow. So that's going to be, I know, it's going to be pretty cool. So those benefit, that goes to help benefit, our foundation, and that way we have merchandise, and that way we can keep doing these and slowly build up grants and really get larger and larger and keep doing the stuff that we find. He was pretty amazing philanthropically, and really quiet about it. I saw him do it all the time when I worked for him, and his appreciation for musicians that he looked up to was amazing, and the help he gave. So we wanted to keep that going because we knew that the music was going to keep going, but that other part was going to stop if we didn't keep pushing towards that. So that's what we're doing. It's a group. We've got over 300 members. There's more out there. We're still finding, oh, you did what in 5 or what, 1978? And we're still finding different people that, but we're at least 300 strong, if not more. And yeah, so we've got together. We've got a really cool board, and we're doing some cool stuff.
And that event you said is at which venue?
It's at the Fine Line in downtown Minneapolis. It's a really nice venue. And I think Liv just Warfield just played there a couple of days ago in Minneapolis, and so that's cool. So we'll be there. So we're excited about it. It's going to be a killer show, and a lot of fun. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
It's so good that
yeah.
you're carrying the torch forward
We
like that.
gotta do that. And then, personally, I have a passion for it because as I said, he was always empowering to women. And I thank him for the time that I was there. And this is my way of kind of, paying it forward in a way as well. So we're all doing it. And it's a labor of love. And we really believe that we want to make sure other part of his legacy keeps going. So
Much credit to you and everyone who's
thank you.
involved.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it.
And do you
So,
have a title within the organization, or
I'm the president.
you are the president? I knew you were on the
Yeah.
board. I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
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 So, and the
Yeah.
board is how many people?
12. We have
12.
12. All
Typical
walks,
board.
from hair stylist to makeup and wardrobe and management, and all different people that work for him. So
Wow.
it's pretty
And
cool. Yeah.
what would your message be to fans that would like to contribute or help out, or what can they do?
Yeah, well, they can actually go. We have a website, prnalumni.org. You can actually, if you want to go to the show, the tickets will be there. You can link directly to that. We have merchandise you can purchase, and you can do donations on there too. And all that goes in. None of the board, none of us are getting paid for this. We do it on our own time, and we put it back into these community projects and keeping the alumni afloat, because it is a business too. So we have got to pay the bands that play, and we got to do all that stuff too. So it's great. So that all that kind of support, spread the word. Follow us, on our social, because it will tell you what we're up to. Because we're going to do some really cool stuff in June as well. We've got a really special performance plan in June, and some cool panels as well. We've been doing it since day one, so we always do really neat outside thinking panels. So I always love those, and I'm honored to listen to all these other cool people that talk about what they do and what they did with him and their thoughts on it. It's really quite honored to be around that. So
That's fantastic. And it didn't escape me that you mentioned about, knowing nothing about a nonprofit and then like having to learn it all. It reminds me
yeah.
of some of the other stories with, putting together visuals and things like that.
Oh yeah, yep, absolutely. You figure it out. So, and learn how to do it. And it took a little work, let me tell you, but it's cool. And I'm still learning. And when you stop learning, you got a problem. So you always keep going.
And
So
what else are you involved with, or doing other stuff? Or
yeah, oh yeah, I do. I have my own consulting. I do. I took a break from music for a little bit, and I started it's an agave spirit company similar to a tequila, and that's doing really well. We're in ton of markets now, and getting some really great funding, and it's an amazing product. And then from there, last year I decided that I really miss music, and so I was I owned it, co-founded that company, and then I was the president and CMO for it. But then I really it's moving, it's going, but I really miss music, and I miss being creative in that sense, in that scope. And I went back into doing music, so that's what I'm doing now. Consulting, branding, that type of thing. So
nice, and still
yeah.
keeping your finger on the pulse of funk, I hope.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You don't hear it on the radio as much, but
No.
there's a lot of amazing new talent. I mean, you could be like, music today. No, if you go and you really search, there's some really neat, incredible musicians and great bands, and great singers and songwriters and that. So I'm really invigorated by that. It's good to see, because I was worried for a moment. I was like, uh-oh, where are we going with this, you guys? But yeah, it's really cool.
I think
And
nowadays you just have to be more proactive to find it.
absolutely,
Yeah.
you have to be creative, and you got to really actually go for it and find it. But that's what like anything, you got to work at a little bit to get the good stuff. So the cream is out there. You got to go find it.
Much appreciated, Jacqui. It's been great talking to you and hearing the stories and getting to know you and finding out about the foundation. Thank you so much.
No, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on and listening to my stories.
I wish you
So,
continued success with all of that. So
thank you. Appreciate
okay,
it.
bye for now.
Bye.
Hey, back at Truth and Rhythm headquarters. Thank you for joining us on another magical ride with Truth and Rhythm. Whether you're watching or listening, as always, thank you so much for your continued interest and support. Be sure to subscribe. Go to YouTube, go to the Funk and Stuff channel. That's where Truth and Rhythm lives and breathes and thrives. Also, goodies here like TIR Quick Takes. And if you subscribe, you know what? You get the show before anyone else. It's free. If you love jazz, funk, R&B, soul, you can't miss it. Pass it along. Tell a friend. Tell family. This audience is growing, and it is a beautiful thing, all coming together for the love of this great music. Also, if you can throw us a buck or two, we could use the support financially, keeping the lights on, keeping the servers going, all these expenses. If you can help support the program, whatever you can give, much appreciated. Go to the funkandstuff.net website, and on the right hand side of every page you just click and you can donate through PayPal, credit card, whatever. Very easy to do and so much appreciated. And if you do a sizable donation, I will mention you on the program. Also, drop me a line. Email me at ScottG@funkandstuff.net. Let me know who else you'd like to see on the show, what you enjoy about the music. Let's just kibitz and talk about stuff, talk music. You'll find that I respond very quickly, and I much enjoy the rapport and the camaraderie and the interaction. Always remember, this is your show, The True Music Lover. So for now, that's all the time we have for this one. It's a wrap. As always, Scott Dr. GX Goldfine saying, keep on vibrating to the rhythm of the one.